Welcome to weatherHum. This project takes weather data from your location and tunes a drone synth and calibrates some video faders. I originally created this project to interpret the theme of 1.5 degrees Celsius, and that was linked with climate change. What I interpreted that as linked to climate change. So I wanted to create something that made us think about the climate in a way. The project evolved over time as I was making it and grew further from that original theme, but I like where it's ended up, and it has its own character. So this is the main page. I wanted it to be very simple, just text. I chose a dyslexic font. Read for me as well. And then just have a brief explanation. The whole piece is quite meditative, so I wanted to just be like, come here, sit for a while, then be on your way. Take you to this link, which is the About page. Again, similar to the first one, just gives a brief explanation, what tools I used. I used Tone.js for the video, and then used YouTube's iframe API to grab a load of YouTube videos, JavaScript to fade the videos and process them as well. We'll see later. And then the weather API that I used was OpenWeather. And then there's a little form for feedback which I've been collecting and responding to. And then this is a table explaining all of the various parameters that I've mapped to my piece from the weather. And then I also drew a nice shiny diagram that explains the audio routing. So you've got 4 oscillators going into their own auto filter, which kind of provides some movement. All the parameters of these various nodes are controlled by the weather. They all go into a phaser, get mushed up together to give like a really nice stereo spread, and through a reverb just to kind of take any harsh edges off and kind of meld the overall kind of design for the audio was very like drone and like ambient inspired, because I wanted the piece to be kind of like a reflection of, for me anyway, during lockdown, it's been a thing that I always have some sort of background noise on, or ambient or soundscape, so it's nice that I can create that similar experience but through this piece, and somehow linking it with the outside by using the weather. So I'll take you through to the piece and then play. So it fetches the videos. Once the videos have loaded, I chose to have some simple text again. And we've got 2 actions that we can do. We can either press spacebar, which will bring up the table from earlier, but this time it shows you all of the weather values and all of the mapped values. So you can see cloudiness. So we've got 100% cloudiness today. It is very cloudy today. And tomorrow, that's good, it's going to be not so cloudy, so probably sunny. How I chose to interpret that was to map that to the capacity of the various videos. So the more cloudy it is, the duller the videos. I chose to cap that at 5,000, which maps to 0.5 opacity, just so that they don't completely disappear. Wind speed controls how fast the autofilters move up and down, so that's in meters per second, and then I mapped that by dividing it by 10 just to make it into a really slow, low frequency oscillation, So you've got like 0.8 frequency. So that's like really going to move the auto filter really slowly up and down. So it just gives the whole piece a nice movement. Humidity, that's in percentage, that controls the base frequency of the autofilters. So the more humid it is, the higher the autofilters start from, basically. So if it's very windy and humid, it'll be more high frequency sounds that move faster up and down. And if it's like a very still and not a humid day, then there'll be lower frequency sounds because the filter is operating at the bottom of the frequency spectrum and it's moving slower. Current dew point, which is in degrees Celsius, so that's like the dew point is when the temperature dew forms, I think. So I've mapped that using a scaling function to map it to between 0 and 100, and that's going to control the reverb decay time. So I wanted really long decay times to get that really washy ambient sound. Daily min and max temperature, that selects the notes that the 4 oscillators play. So each day you've got a max and a minimum temperature. The max temperature, as you can see, like 10 degrees Celsius, and then the min 7.3 degrees Celsius today. So that there's an array of various notes, and then another array with various octaves, and then so say 10, that will get wrapped into the array using the modulo operator, and then that will select a note from the array, and then that will also happen with the minimum temperature, and then you mash them together, and then you get a note and an octave, so then you get A sharp 3. But I've used notes from the G flat pentatonic scale because it's quite a nice scale and all of the notes kind of sound quite nice together and you can't really hit a wrong note. So yeah, day 1 to 3 max temperature, that directly controls the video fader step size. So 10 degrees, so that will control how fast the fading function iterates through the opacities. That's also linked to the volume of the oscillators as well. So as the fading happens, the oscillators respond to that as well. So you get more of a mapping between the visuals and the audio. And then I chose to do feels like temperature. That controls how detuned the oscillators are in cent. So cent is the smaller, more precise version of tuning than just doing pitch alone. So yeah, you can see I've flipped oscillator 2 and 4 so they're minus values, so you get more of a spread, and the more spread you get, the more kind of phasing and interesting harmonics kind of appear in the sound. And then another easy one, day 1, 2, 4, and 7 I've picked of the moon phase, and that is a value between, it should be a value between 0 and 1, and that maps to the phase of the so an oscillator where the waveform starts, basically. So then as you get different waveforms starting in different positions, they cross and then form nice phasing kind of sounds. So that's how everything's mapped. There's random YouTube videos that get selected. I've processed them by blurring them, so you can't see the contents, but you do hear some of the audio. And then, yeah, so you get hopefully a nice experience. But I'll play this now. drag that or press that again to bring that in. And yeah, go back, and that is the weatherHum.